everybody. Well, green living expert Dre Dee says that you can save money and the environment by making some very simple changes in your kitchen. And today she's here to show us how. Everyone, please welcome Dre. How you doing, Dre?
Welcome, City.
You too. So let's first talk about the fridge, because that's you're losing a lot of energy there, aren't you?
It's quite a beast. It's an appliance in your house that will use up between 10 and 15% of all your energy.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to. If it's inefficient, it's going to use a lot more. So there's ways that you can kind of keep it working well and test to see if it's working well.
Okay.
So I'm going to get you to do the test for me today.
And this is really cool. I didn't know. So we've got just an old fridge that we had kicking around here. And what do we do?
You take any just regular sheet of paper, just yank it out of your printer at home.
Yep.
Open the door, slide it inside, and just close the door on it. Just not too hard, just the way you would normally shut it, and then give it a tug and see what happens. Wow. So it needed some pressure to come out, right?
A little bit, not a lot. What does that mean?
Now, if it fell out, it means your seal is completely wrecked, but you can put a new one in yourself. They sell them at the hardware store. It's not hard to do. If it's just a tiny bit loose, you still might want to kind of make sure your hinges are adjusted and that your seal doesn't have any guck. You know, there's sometimes guck.
Sure.
Mine has guck.
Yeah.
But if it's super loose, you definitely have to replace the seal because your cold air is just blowing out.
Just flying out. It's like leaving the, it's like might as well just leave the door open.
Yeah. So that's often called the buck test because you can actually use a bill, a money piece
of
money.
Yeah, of course, that would make sense.
Money, you know
absolutely, yeah. And you have a tip about keeping the freezer full as well, because again, it's not as efficient, right?
Yeah. So some people think, you've got only a few things in your freezer, you've cleaned it out, it's looking all neat and tidy, but the truth is, if there's not a lot in it, it's not working efficiently. So a couple things you can do: make some ice, put it in some bags, store it in there. Everyone needs ice.
Use it anyways, yeah.
Get these bottles. Don't fill them too full, maybe just to here, because you don't want them to blow.
Sure.
Store them in the freezer, because the more packed in it is, the less the compressor has to work to keep it cool. So the more energy you're saving.
Wow.
And more money.
Of course, and you're just keeping it.
That's right.
You're just keeping the freezer just full, even if there's anything. That's great. Now this is really cool because. And this, I'm sure everyone in every single house has, hundreds of these little things going. This is phantom power.
Yes.
Right, that we're losing.
Yep.
Explain this.
So any device that has one of these clock features, and let's face it, you can look anywhere in your house, you see the time everywhere you go, right?
That's true. Every appliance has the time or something or whatever.
And that's all you're using it for when it's not actually cooking something, making coffee, whatever the case may be. So if you use one of these power bars, you can actually program this one to say, shut off between 9 and 5 when you're at work, let's say, or if you're going away on vacation for the long weekend. Plug your microwave and your coffee maker in here, and maybe even your cell phone, right? So it only charges when you're away at night. You know what I mean? So there's a number of ways you can use these to just cut the power, so it's not sucking energy when you're not using it. That's 15% of your bill, more or less, right there.
Just from these little LED clocks and stuff.
All over your
wow,
house.
that's crazy, guys. Wow, that's amazing. And these are great because I didn't even know these power bars had timers.
Yes.
Which is great. Wow, amazing.
Easy to use, easy to program.
Now let's go to pressure cookers, because you had a great stat on how much power we're saving on this, how much energy.
Yeah, so if you're making something that's has a long cooking process, like a stew, chili, things like this, it can take hours on the stovetop, right? These will do them in a third of the time. So a chili that you brew for 4 hours for a Sunday night football party or whatever it might be, will take, an hour-ish in one of these. So 70% less power.
70% less power, which is great. And so I would imagine you're probably not a fan of slow cookers then.
You know what? They use so little energy that they're actually, they're kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, but they're great too. But if you really want to get something done in a hurry, it's great for dinner time. You get home from work and you've got people to feed, to do something in 30 minutes instead of 2 hours that you would normally enjoy on the weekend is fantastic.
It's kind of the microwave of cookware, which is fantastic. And these are like the stovetop ones.
Yep.
Now, pressure cookers, I mean, that was a big thing years ago, but I've never, you know what I mean? You haven't really heard a lot about them anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Mine sort of hid in the basement for a long time until I thought, geez, what a great thing to kind of bring back out. And in Europe, they're really the standard. Yeah. There's your basic sort of $30 one here, $40. There's a kind of more fancy pants one, and then this one is full-on electric digital. So.
Okay. Yeah. Which is great.
Great range.
And you just made some.
I actually made these myself.
Some beautiful things. So, did you really? Wow.
Yeah, I made this chana masala chickpea curry in 30 minutes. It would normally take me more than an hour to sort of stew down. This is a classic pot roast gravy. Made this in about 40 minutes instead of 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Really
let me just get you to try a little bit.
Totally, I would love to.
I'll gravy it up for you.
So what's the what are probably some of the better things to cook in these? I mean, if you threw can you just throw like a chicken in like you would like a slow cooker?
You can, but it always has to have liquid. Like, don't forget, these are for things that are braised or stewed because you need the liquid to create the steam pressure inside. You can't just plop something that's dry.
You're a great cook.
Oh, thanks.
Can you share this recipe?
Yes.
Fantastic. Now let's move over to here because this is where it is. Your kids are going to school. You're going to work. You're putting everything in those little reusable bags and plastic bags and whatnot, and they're sitting in landfills, aren't they?
That's right. Those little baggies can take 100 years to degrade, and sometimes they don't fully break apart. They just sort of break into bits, and they get into the water system and into wildlife. It's it's a major problem. But
you got to think every kid's bring them one.
That's right.
Times 100 times 100 times a million times.
That's right. Yeah, I figured it out, and you're using probably about 800 bags per kid per year if you're shoving all their snacks and lunch things in one of them.
And that's you've got little cheesies and things and all kinds of snacks.
So all of the things that you would put in here can go in these little lunch packs. They're eco-friendly. They can go, most of them can go in the top rack of the dishwasher, or you can hand wash them. And let's face it, they don't really get that dirty anyway. So they hold everything a kid needs for recess and lunch right in here. And obviously, any color of the rainbow your kid wants, it's available. So you can get them to choose. You can get them in on it, so they're happy with what you buy.
Yeah, I would actually have a reward if the kid brings home every single thing in here on the back from school. They get a big special gift, right?
Yeah.
10 cents if you bring back all the components, because I would imagine every mom's like, well, that's, I don't see that again. That's gone missing now. Yeah, that's brilliant. And all these, they come in like glass, metal. These ones are cool, these metal ones as well.
These are sort of an Indian tradition of the tiffin lunch, and then there's glass ones that you can microwave at work, beautiful lunch bags, all eco-friendly.
Fantastic. Isn't that great information, guys? Wonderful. Thanks, Dre.
You're welcome.
Now, everybody, go to our website for a chance to win some of the fantastic products that Dre was showing us today. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And stay with us because Tara's here with stylish hats, scarves, and gloves. That's next. Thanks, Dre. Beautiful stuff.